Welcome to Daily Editors Podcast at the Standard Group. And of course, I'm with privilege to host the all-seasoned journalist, the one and only.
How do you mean daily? The last time we had a podcast was weeks ago.
Our producer, man.
Not our producer. You know, someone left the group.
Yeah. Don't talk about it.
He decided not to come for the podcast. One man has frustrated us in this company more than Rigathi Gachagua is frustrating the Kenya Kwanza government.
He's here.
Of course, and he's behind the camera.
Anaitwa fundi wa mitambo.
No, it's not the man behind the cameras. It's the man who gives us a Bible verses. Ebu give us your Bible verse before you introduce yourself.
No. There is no Bible verse today. Let's just get down to business.
Ken.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's start with Rigathi Gachagua, the man and the mountain. Tuguze mlima ama tuache?
Hapa kuna mtu ataguza mlima.
How is the impeachment coming?
The problem with this Murima is just in someone's head. Sasa kuguza unashindwa umeguza ama hujaguza. Gachagua's impeachment.
Yes.
Nasikia imeiva. Something is supposed to happen this afternoon in Parliament. Maybe it will not. But definitely there is something cooking that is not in his favor at all.
So the signatures, are they there, Ken? You know, you are a lawyer. What happens if you want to impeach this guy? And before, people have tried to impeach the deputy president and failed miserably.
Which deputy president? Because in the last 10 years, we've only had William Ruto.
But they planned.
They tried. They mooted. They thought they could impeach William Ruto. You know, there's a lot to talk about when we want to talk about this issue of impeachment. One, for any impeachment to stand, it has to be grounded in law. It has to be supported by the law. It has to be supported by Article 6 of the Constitution. There must be some misconduct. It can't just be because Gachagua spoke on television. Now we want to impeach him. There has to be reasons properly grounded. However, I'm also alive to the fact that an impeachment process is not a legal process. It's a political process supported or given a legal backing. So there's a lot to talk about this impeachment. One, who's behind it? If the president is behind the impeachment of his deputy, it has the chances of succeeding. And I'll explain why. The last term of Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto had a lot of issues. In fact, at one point, we even thought that William Ruto is going to resign. Or we even thought that Uhuru will marshal enough troops to impeach Ruto. But it became impossible because Ruto left with the succulent side of Jubilee Party, if you remember. So it was definitely impossible. So there's a lot that William Ruto learned then when he was a deputy president about impeachment. There's a lot that William Ruto learned then about how a government or how a head of state or how your boss can frustrate you. And that's why thrice William Ruto said that his deputy will never be subjected to what he went through. Because there are things he learned. So what Gachagua is learning currently are things that Ruto works. So he understands it. So he understands any button and every button to press if this has to succeed. So without even invoking the legal side of this, if Ruto, the president, is behind the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua, and I'm not saying that conservatively, because Rigathi Gachagua has dropped this on his doorstep and said, save me from this impeachment, otherwise you will see fire. In a nutshell, that is what Rigathi has said. He said it on Saturday last week. He said it again today at Endarasha. That these people are unforgiving. Just cleverly, packaged it very cleverly. But in essence, he was telling, if you try this, these guys won't forgive you.
But we know now that there must be the owner of the dog, Wanyonyi. If the dog barks at you, who is the owner of this dog?
At the moment, it's a bit dicey to say, but of course, all fingers point towards one direction, and that is State House.
Yeah.
You can see the guys who are supposed to be pushing the impeachment motion in Bunge, supposed to come from the government side. When Malala Cleophas, when he was Secretary General, he tried to align himself with Rigiji. Alitandikwa fimbo from which side? Of course, we all know where that kiboko came from.
Yeah.
Before the podcast, I was telling you about Ecclesiastes 9:11. The rest is not for the swift. Chance happens to them all. Chance happened to this guy called Rigiji when they were tussling with Kindiki. He got his lot, became deputy president. But instead of lying low, the guy thinks he's an alpha male. I think in Kenyan politics, there are only two alpha male politicians. That is William Ruto and Raila Odinga. You try to inua your kichwa, you're beaten. And that is what this guy has done. So all fingers, of course, point towards Ruto's direction, and I think he's the guy behind this. He might change, he might not. Because it's not the first time he's told MPs, hey, go slow on this guy because of ABCD. The other day we were talking about who owns Murima. Is it the Murima guy or is it William? Who came first and who was elected and who was elected? The frustrations that Rigiji is having is real. Can he be impeached? I mean, it will not even get to noon. And the guy would have packed his bags back to Mathira. What happens to him after that? Your guess is as good as mine. It's 3 years to an election. I don't think he has the energy or even the resources to mount the kind of diatribe he has against government.
Not now.
So things are dicey. So let's watch the space, but I think his goose is cooked.
You know, Charles, this issue about Murima, it started in 2021, 2020. And I remember some of the conversations we were having here in the newsroom with the pundits. And J.C. Meha brought in a very intriguing aspect. What he asked then is, I remember that Ambrose was there, the lawyer, Weda was in that discussion. So one of the things that they were talking about is the ownership of Murima. And what came out is, for the first time, pre-exit of Uhuru Kenyatta, for the first time, the mountain was leaderless. For the first time, the mountain was getting a leader from outside in the person of William Ruto. And for the first time, Murima was not going to mount a formidable force against any person who was running for president. There was Jimmy Wanjigi, mwenye alikuwa naongea. Then there was Mwaure, mwenye alikuwa naongea pia. They had intentions that expressed their intention to capture Murima, but it was impossible. Because William Ruto, in the 5 years with Uhuru Kenyatta, had taken a lot of his time to go around Mount Kenya and try and get as much as he could. And he succeeded. So as we are talking, the de facto leader of Murima is William Ruto. Is not Rigathi Gachagua.
But
count the numbers. It will tell you, because numbers cannot be contradicted by words. You have to contradict facts with facts and figures with figures. Look at the de facto leader of Mount Kenya. There's a video going that went viral of this lady who was describing the leadership of Mount Kenya. And one of the things she said is that even without Rigathi Gachagua, William Ruto was going to get votes from the mountain. There was no way the mountain was going to vote for Raila Odinga. Even with, they had created a boogeyman in Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga. Even without Rigathi Gachagua, Ruto was going to get votes from Central Kenya. So he didn't need Rigathi Gachagua. So in effect, my conclusion, as she concluded, the owner of Murima is William Ruto.
Is William, definitely. Because this thing called the Kindiki faction, the Kindiki movement, you can definitely tell where it's coming from. Kindiki cannot mobilize all 67 MPs to go and endorse him in public.
Even 10.
I mean, it's and
then
then look at our guy Rigiji. Rigiji has been busy gallivanting with Gakuya and my MP Major Donk, and now these two are on DCI radar. They are supposed to answer some questions of the Gen Z protest.
They have now to lie low.
They have to lie low.
They have to.
If they are inua kichwa sana, the alpha male will do the thing.
So
now where does that leave Rigiji? His own MP in Mathira is
Eric Wamombi.
He's telling him, Chief, let me work. You go do your thing as the deputy president. And so, for you to know that this guy, I mean, he's standing on, they call stilts.
Yeah.
How come he's obsessed with Murima and he's a deputy president? Because he does not have a stranglehold or control of this thing called Murima. And as you speak, there is Mount Kenya East, Mount Kenya West. So Murima is not even one. There's an MP, a former MP, I think it was Tharaka or Meru, somewhere there, who said when it comes